Shalom. This is your brother Tazaya Amar of GMS Valdosta, Georgia, coming out again with another weekly lesson, and I pray that it be edifying. But first, we want to give all praises and glorifications to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakadash. Double honor to our apostles and elders of GMS, Great Millstone, for teaching us the true knowledge of these scriptures. I want to say Shalom in the heart to all the brothers and sisters that are striving and thriving in this same 100% true doctrine. Shalom. Today's lesson is whistleblowers / prophets. You know, there's a correlation between the two. You know, they synonymous with each other. You know, whistleblower, prophet, or watchman, you know. Hey, what are their jobs? To expose certain situation, to bring it to the forefront. You know, a whistleblower is pretty much carnal, you know, way of exposing the situation. But the prophets, the watchmen, their way of exposing situations is spiritual. Pretty much, it's does what to say the Most High Yahweh by Shem Shai. You know, being a messenger for the Most High Yahweh by Shem Shai. And with that being said, my first scripture is going to be the book of Luke, chapter 6, starting at verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company. You know, these things are going to happen whenever you repeat what thus said the Most High Yahweh Bashem Shai, and you know, it fall on ears that are not deaf. They can hear, but they can't hear. You know, it doesn't resonate with their spirit. And those situations going to occur. You know, I've had people to tell me, you know, I don't want to hear about the Bible. But basically what they're doing, they despising the word. There's no need. Hey, that's the only way you can explain it. They despise the word. And we know what the fate of anyone that despises the word, hey, going to be put to death. This is the book of Luke, chapter 6, starting again at verse 22. Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company. You know, people, they don't even want to be around you. If you speaking thus said the Most High Yahweh Bashem Shai, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil. Here come that nigga want to talk about the Bible. He want to talk about Yahweh Bashem Shai, and we don't want to hear that. And cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. And that's what they do. They'll demonize you as being evil for even speaking the words out of the Bible that they claim they believe in and claim that they know. You know, I've had people say, you can't tell me nothing about the Bible. I know the Bible. I was raised up in church. My daddy was a preacher. My uncle was a preacher. My brother is a preacher. What is he preaching? What are they teaching? Are they teaching you the true knowledge of these scriptures? Or are they teaching you a watered down version that, hey, they regurgitated from what? From that bald-faced, bald-headed pulpit pimp that they learned it from? That can't wait for the service over so he can go to the cafeteria and dine on that swine flesh, catfish, and other abominations? Right. With that being said, speaking about whistleblowers, I have a few names of famous whistleblowers on the carnal side. And I just pulled up a few of them that had biblical names, so to speak, such as Daniel Ellsberg. He was a whistleblower that exposed the Vietnam, all about the scandal about the Vietnam War and what it was all about. And he even exposed the fact that the America knew that when they went in there that it was a no-win situation. But it was all about the poppy fields, opium. It wasn't about trying to keep communists from spreading. Look, those people didn't even have an Air Force, and they didn't have a Navy. So how were they going to spread communism, their communist society to the USA? They didn't even have transportation to get here. No, but what America did, they went over there to them people's place, their country, to exhort them, to oppress those people, steal their resources, their drugs. And that's what it was all about. And as these people was put in place, Daniel Ellsberg, Mark Felt, who exposed the Watergate during the Nixon reign, when Nixon was in office, which he was the devil also himself. Yeah, he propagated the Vietnam War for a while, even though he did bring the troops back home in 70. After the war was over in 75, but I think he had a decree not to send no more troops over there around about 72 or 73, if I'm not mistaken. I reckon enough people had died, or they had accumulated enough drugs till, hey, it didn't make no sense to continue to lose lives over there. Over 50,000 that they know of, or that they report. But it's way more than that. Esau don't never tell the truth about anything. And then there was another whistleblower by the name of Mark Whitaker. He was an FBI informant, and he exposed a lot of information concerning the FBI and their tactics. And look, these are people that were put in place by their own government, and they were held to a standard of being discreet. But for whatever reason, these people saw fit to expose their corruption and their, just corruption and the wickedness behind these different organizations. Just as the scripture says, we're going to cause their tongue to speak against them. And that's pretty much what it was. You'll be surprised of how much, how corrupt these government officials are and their agenda. Their agendas are to pretty much to eradicate Jakes. They go about it in a subtle way, but their main goal is to eradicate you. You so-called Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's their prime objective. Is to somehow or another to eradicate you, so they can continue to reign in this wickedness. But it's not going to happen. The downfall has been prophesied, and that's where it's going to be. Thus said the Most High Yahweh Shem Awashai. He's going to destroy this place in 1 hour. And with that being said, my next scripture is going to be 1 Peter chapter 4, starting at verse 12. Beloved, I think it's not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange things happening unto you. And hey, there's going to be some situation that going to test our faith. They're coming. We're going to. The time going to come where we're going to see just how much faith we have, and are we going to be able to stand firmly, rooted and grounded in this truth. As the scripture said, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange things happening unto you. These things that are going to happen are not going to be strange to the one that, they got this eye salve. We well aware of what's coming. But to a lot of our people that's unaware, that don't care, that are continuing their in their wicked ways, that's all they're concerned about. Is continuing their wicked ways. They're not seeing what's abroad, what's over the horizon, and neither do they care. But at that time, as they say, when the rubber meets the road, it's going to be a whole different story. They're going to be seeking guidance. They're going to be seeking answers. They're going to be seeking some kind of relief, but relief ain't going to come. Mercy ain't going to come. And you're going to cry unto a God that you never cried to before, because now you realize you need Him. But it's going to be too late. Thus said the Most High Yahweh Shem Awashai. It's not my word, it's His. These are His words. And to further go on into these whistleblowers, there's another one by the name of Mordecai Vanunu. He exposed the Israeli nuclear program to the world, that the Israelis, the people that's over there in Israel, the small hats, were being financed. The nuclear program was being financed by the United States and France. So that let you know they are the same people. Esau. And that they share the same blessing, the sword. weapon of destruction, killing instruments, death instruments that they were blessed with. By our Father. Hey, it's all for their demise. The blessing gonna turn into a curse. And as I mentioned earlier, in 1 hour, they're gonna meet their demise. 60 minutes. Thus said the Most High Yahweh Shem Awashai. And with that being said, I'm going to go to my next scripture going to be Romans chapter 8 and start at verse 35. Who should separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Shall tribulation, or distress, or persecution, or famine, or nakedness, or peril, or sword? As it is written, for thy sake we are killed all the day long. We are accounted as sheep for the slaughter. So those things are to be expected. You know, as we often bring out the fact that some of us going to have to be martyrs. But as the scriptures say, the dead in Yahweh shall rise first. So, whatever these devils got in store for the elite of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, bring it on. Because we are the elect. If it be the will of the Most High, we are the elect. So bring it on. Who shall separate us from the love of Hamashiach? Can't do it. Shall tribulation? No. Or distress? No. Or persecution? No. Or famine? No. Or nakedness? No. Or perils? Or sword? Hey, we're going to, by the grace of the Most High Yahweh and mercy by the Most Yahweh by Shem Awashai, hey, we're going to survive all those. So, hey, basically what you're going to do, you're going to put out all stops, but it ain't going to work. You're only going to work on the one that the Most High is going to let be worked on. So, in layman terms, you're fighting a losing battle, Esau. So you might well get on. The book of Philippians. The book of Philippians, chapter 1, starting at verse 29. For unto you it is given in behalf of Hamashiach, not only to believe on him, but also to suffer for his sake. As I said earlier, it's inevitable that some of us going to have to, we're going to have to suffer. But what is suffering? Patience, perseverance, endurance, holding steadfast, faithful, rooted, grounded. And that's what we should be striving for each and every day. And with that being said, I'm going to close out by giving all praises and glorifications to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rikakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of GMS Great Millstone for teaching us the true knowledge of these scriptures. I want to say shalom and a heart to all the brothers and sisters that are striving and thriving in the same 100% true doctrine. Shalom.